Make a decision. So many times in our life, what we do is that our life, we know that there's a decision that needs to be made. And what we do, we'll keep saying, hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's going to take me some time, but I'm working on it. And then what'll happen is, we'll be 22, we'll say, hey, I'm working on it. Then before you know, we 32 and we'll say, I'm working on it. And before you know, you're in your 40s, in your 50s, and your 60s, and you saying, hey, I'm working on it. And it's like, why do it take so long to work on something? I don't think it take that long to work on anything. I think the number one thing you got to do is make a decision. Make a decision of what you want. Once you make the decision, everything else is going to take care of itself. Everything else will take care of itself. I'll give you a prime example. When I first started in business, I first started my clothing line, I didn't know anything about business. I never went and took a business course, a class, or anything. I didn't know what I was doing. But you know what I did? I made a decision that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So the first thing what I did, I came up with a design. The first design I came up with, it wasn't the best design possible, but I came up with it. I didn't sell a whole lot, but I learned from that process. I learned from it. So then what I did, I got a little bit better with the second design. The second design did better than the first, but it still wasn't good enough. Then I came out with a third design. The third design started taking off. It started getting some buzz. Like, oh, okay then. I'm starting to get a little buzz. It's starting to work. It's starting to work. Okay then. Then I had to learn about the business side. I had to learn about, okay, but what does it take in order for me to talk to a customer to get up inside of a store? I had to learn that. So what happened was I started talking to people. I started talking to businessmen. They started giving me examples, let me know, okay, what would it take in order for that to happen? Then over time, I had to figure out, well, what does it take in order for me to get design copyrighted, to get a trade, get something trademarked. I had to figure that out. Then after that, I had to figure out, okay, then, well, hey, how do I file my taxes? Recently, I just got an online website. I didn't understand any of these things at first. I didn't understand any of these things at first. I had to learn how to order my product to get the best price, the best deal, and to get good quality product. I had to figure that out. I didn't understand any of these things, but I didn't have to work on it because I made a decision. Our lives so many times, we always focusing on, okay, I got to work on it. No, make a decision. Make a decision. You can't do anything until you make a decision. At the end of the day, if you're a father saying, hey man, I need to have a better relationship with my kids, I'm working on it. There's nothing to work on until you make a decision. Make a decision and say, hey, from now on, I'm going to be involved in their lives more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a day off, whether Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I'm going to make a phone call and talk to them every weekend. Every single weekend I'm going to do that. Guess what happened? You didn't have to work on that. You made a decision and started doing it. Nothing to work on. If you're a person that say, hey man, I do drugs and I want to stop doing drugs. Maybe I want to start smoking. Maybe I want to start drinking. Maybe I want to do whatever it is I'm doing. Guess what you do? Make a decision and say, hey man, I'm going to stop this. So you know what's going to happen? When you first sit there and make that decision, you're not going to completely stop, but you might stop for a day or two. You might go do it again. Then the second time you might go a week. Then you might do it again. Then sometimes it might take you a month. Then before you know it, you're like, dawg, man, I hadn't smoked in 6 months. I hadn't drunk in 6 months. Why? You made a decision. I know someone that used to smoke cigarettes. They used to smoke cigarettes for years. Pandemic hit. And they said, you know what? I'm going to make a decision to stop smoking from now. And they hadn't smoked since the beginning of the pandemic. But think about that for a second. Even to this day, they never said that they would never smoke again. But because they made a decision not to smoke, guess what happened? They stopped smoking. We do so much of, man, I got to work on. No, make a decision. If you want to be a better man or a better woman, what should you do? You need to go get a mentor. You need to get someone that you can listen to. Get someone that you can talk to. Get someone that you respect and get their advice. And say, yo, I don't have the answers. What do you think I should do? And when they tell you what you should do, make a decision to do better. It's all it takes. We make this way more complicated than what it is. But what we do when we say we working on it, now you have an excuse to not do it all the way. So if you don't do it, guess what happened? Well, I'm working on it. You sit there and say, well, look, I'm going to have a bad attitude. But then you keep having a bad attitude and it's, well, I'm working on it. You don't have to work on making a decision. If a decision is made as, hey, man, I'm going to have a bad attitude, guess what happens? When I see people, I smile. When I see people, I introduce myself to people. Doesn't take much. Everything in our life is based upon decisions. Make a decision. My name is Sidney Combs. I'm a young entrepreneur from Shreveport, Louisiana with $1 and a dream.